more of a college football crowd will be noticeably absent this fall. That's one of the few certainties the sport has right now, as major conferences consider whether to play this season.
I love football. I've made millions of dollars coaching football. However, the reality is it just cannot happen right now under the present circumstances.
Former college and NFL coach Artie Gigantinos says football presents a number of risks, such as the huddle, tackling, and even the playing surface.
When you go to an artificial surface and you fall down, you're spreading the disease on that. They are not going to come out and sterilize an artificial surface in between every play.
Football programs nationwide are putting more safeguards in place in hopes of keeping athletes safe. That includes more virtual meetings and frequent cleaning. But the games and practices are only part of the equation.
The risk is always what they do when they're off campus, because they can be monitored while they're on campus, to a certain extent, obviously, but you can't monitor them in the community.
The teams know the risks, but some of the biggest names in college football say protocols are working and it's worth starting the season. Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh argues his team has a relatively low number of positive tests. And some schools like LSU have rolled out protective face shields, ones developed for NFL players to limit the spread of droplets.
I think that that's actually a very important and encouraging mitigating factor if the players are able to wear them comfortably and if they all see the value of it in terms of keeping them safe.
And college football stars like Clemson quarterback Trevor Lawrence say players have an incentive to follow the rules, knowing if they don't follow them, they could endanger others. But even with the best protocols and player compliance, there are still certain factors out of team control.
Part of the challenge here is that, when you've seen one college, you've seen one, because the rates of transmission within every community is very different. And it's very different if you're in a community where the rate of transmission is relatively low than if you're in one that's still either peaking or still quite high.
Regardless of whether some teams end up playing, Coach Gigantinos says there is one decision he's pleased with: the fact players are speaking up on critical issues.
But everybody always thought of me as too much of a player's coach. Well, like I always used to say, they're the ones that are playing. I'm the guy watching film sitting on my rear end somewhere. Okay, they're the ones that are playing. So I believe players should have a say.
Austin Kim, Newsy, Chicago.